In this video, we will show how to create, index, and modify data frames in rprogramming. So we know data frame is a just two-dimensional labeled data structure in R. So it may consist of fields, columns of different types. That's why a data frame is most widely used data object in R. So it may look like a table in SQL or like an Excel worksheet. So in R, if you want to create data frame, you can just use data.frame function and with the specified column names and the input vectors for different columns. So next, we will show details of working with data frames in RStudio. And of course, if you want to download the source files, you can go to this link in GitHub and find the different sections source files. And most of the videos will be uploaded later. So first, we create several vectors which will be combined into data frames. So these four vectors, ID, age, blonde, and status, the first two are numeric, and the second two are character type. Then we can use data frame function to combine these four vectors. We just add these vectors names into parentheses for the function. Then can show the data frame pdata created. Can see the vectors name have been added and with the column names in the data structure in the data frame. So this data frame contains 4 observations and 4 columns. So if you want to identify the elements, you can use the bracket after data frame. So bracket, data frame bracket 1, column 2, which means we will show the first and the second variables of data frame. So these 2 columns, ID, age of the data frames are shown. And similarly, if you want to show a single column called, for example, age, you can use pdata $age. So this will return the values of age. It is actually a vector. If you want to get the 2 columns, you can also use a C function inside the bracket with the column names, for example, blood and the status. So this will return 2 columns data frame from the original data frame. A function str of the data frame will show the structure of this data frame. It shows that this data frame contains 4 observations of 4 variables and the variable name and the type and their corresponding values. So if you want to use the bracket, you can use a comma. So in this case, comma 2, which means because in front of the comma means the rows, all the rows will be selected. And after the comma, we add 2, which means that only the second column. So this means all the observations of the second variable will be selected. So this is actually show the second variable's value. It is a vector, right? And alternatively, you can use the 1, for example, 1, which means the first observation, first row, then with a comma. So because after the comma is empty, so which means all the columns of this row will be selected. So this actually will show the first observation and its corresponding values for all the variables. So this is the first observation. So you can also create a data frame directly by adding some vectors inside the data frame function. So in this case, data.frame, then player equals a vector, runs equals a vector, and wickets equals a vector. So we'll show how it's going. So the result is a vector called status is created with 3 columns and the corresponding variable, a player, runs, and wickets. Then you can select, for example, the second column and the first 3 observations using brackets, 1 column 3, then comma with 2. So in front of the comma, it represents the rows, and 2 after the comma 2 means the second column. So the first, second, and third rows of the second column, though this will return 3 values, actually is a vector. So next we will see how to modify the values of data frame and add the rows and columns and remove rows and columns of the data frame. So first create this data frame again, status with 4 observations and 3 columns, 3 variables. Next we can assign new value, for example 274, to the element of the 4th rows and a column for the runs. Then we show again this data frame, though this value has been modified with the new value, right? Next, we can use one function called rbind. Rbind is combine a new row, several new rows with the first data frame. So we use rbind. Inside the parentheses is status data frame. Then we add the rows. Row is using C function E501, which means this is a row for 3 variables, right? Because this data frame has 3 variables. So we add a row using C function to create a vector. So the new data frame has 5 rows now. This is the 5th row and is the new row added. And similarly, we can add new columns using cbind, column bind with original data frame, and use a vector, also using C function with a column. So this column has 5 elements because this data frame has 5 rows now. So if you want to add a new column, this must have 5 rows. So this is 5 element vector. So now the new data frame has 5 rows, 4 columns. This match column is new added. I can see also we add a non-available value, missing value here. So this is the missing value. This is also missing value. Character type and numeric type. You can also delete a row from a data frame. This method, you just add a -1, which means the minus sign means delete. So we remove this first row of this data frame. Comma not affected. Only this row, all the commas. All the variables for this row will be removed. So we show again. So now only 4 rows left. The first row has been removed. You can also remove a column using null value. So starts the variables wicket column. We assign new value called null. Null is all alphabets are capitalized null. So which means this column will be removed. So one column, the wicket column, has been removed. Now there's only 3 variable column left. And one very simple way to add a new column is just use this data frame with dollars with a new column name on the left side, then right side using a C function with all the elements for this column. So in this way, we will create a new column called score, and its value is 4 value because we have 4 rows for this data frame. So we must have 4 values specified, right? So we show the new data frame. New column has been created, score. So the resulting data frame is 4 rows with 4 columns. Thanks for watching.